6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavala, read by Soundi Tavam. The US congressmen urge additional relief to Sri Lanka. Several student activists detained for 72 hours. The president to ask Japan to open talks with main creditors. The fuel supply to 12 filling stations suspended for failure to follow QR system. A Gazette notification issued declaring the maximum retail price for eggs. In foreign news, Russia to allow inspectors at Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, Putin. In sports, Manchester United agree £70 million Casemiro deal with Real Madrid. 10 US congressmen and women have urged for the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and the USAID Administrator Samantha Power to provide Sri Lanka with additional swift action as meaningful support to the Sri Lankan people in their time of need. In a letter directed to the USAID Administrator and the Secretary of State, the congressmen and women have requested administration to fully incorporate measures supporting the stabilization of Sri Lanka, which includes advancing efforts to address long-standing issues related to accountability and reconciliation and improving democratic institutions in Sri Lanka to meet the US foreign policy goals for the region. Sri Lanka's police spokesperson, attorney at law Nihal Taldua, said the IUSF convener Vasantha Mudalige, Hashan Gunatilaka and another are to be detained and interrogated for 72 hours. He said that the police has requested the Defence Minister for permission to detain and interrogate them for 90 days under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. 19 people were arrested by the Sri Lanka police on Thursday evening following a protest in Colombo. Sri Lanka's President Ranil Wickremesinghe has said in an interview with Reuters that he is asking Japan to invite the main countries that have given bilateral loans to Sri Lanka, including China and India, to come to debt restructuring talks with Sri Lanka. President Wickremesinghe has said in the interview that someone should invite the main creditors to come to discuss the restructuring of the loans given to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka is asking Japan to do so. President Wickremesinghe told Reuters that he will visit Japan in September to meet the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara yesterday said that he instructed to temporarily suspend the supply of fuel to 12 fuel stations that have repeatedly ignored the National Fuel Pass QR system guidelines. This decision was taken during the progress review meeting held yesterday regarding the distribution of fuel with the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation's marketing division. The minister reviewed the QR system implementation by the fuel stations and decided to suspend fuel distribution to the 12 stations which had not complied with the guidelines. Minister Wijesekara also gave instructions to continuously monitor the fuel stations and to submit complaints received from the public to the relevant police stations. An extraordinary Gazette notification has been issued declaring the maximum retail price for eggs. The chairman of the Consumer Affairs Authority, Shanta Niriyalla, has issued the relevant Gazette notification with effect from Friday. Accordingly, the maximum retail price of a white egg has been set at 43 rupees and a brown egg at 45 rupees. The Consumer Affairs Authority orders that no manufacturer, producer, supplier, distributor or trader shall sell, supply, expose or offer for sale, display for sale the listed variety of eggs exceeding the maximum retail price. That's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The heads of security called on President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the President's office yesterday. It is customary for the President to meet the security chiefs on assuming office. Accordingly, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, as the Commander-in-Chief, met the Secretary of Defence, retired General Kamal Gunaratne, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Shavendra Silva, and the commanders of the tri-forces. Following the meeting with the Secretary of Defence, Chief of Defence Staff, the President met with the Commander of the Army, Lieutenant General Wikum Lialage, the Commander of the Navy, Vice Admiral Nishanta Ulugetana, and Air Force Commander Air Marshal Sudarshana Patirana. The President also met with the Director General, Department of Civil Security, Major General N.R. Lama Hevage, retired, and the Director General, Sri Lanka Coast Guard, Rear Admiral Anura Ekanayaka. In keeping with traditional practices, souvenirs are presented to the President during the meetings and came to you in the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
The National Water Supply and Drainage Board says a water cut will be imposed for 10 hours in several areas within the Colombo 5 and 6 areas today. Accordingly, the water supply will be interrupted at 11 p.m. today and will be restored at 9 a.m. tomorrow. The NWSDB further stated that the water cut is being imposed due to essential maintenance work in the mentioned areas. Meanwhile, the NWSDB also mentioned that the Colombo 4 will be supplied with water under low pressure during this time period and came to you in Watchlight. And on to a bulletin of world news making headlines. Russia to allow inspectors at Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. Al-Shabaab Islamist militants attack hotel in Somali capital. And Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin reveals that she has taken drug test. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said the UN officials will be granted permission to visit and inspect the Zaporizhzhia nuclear complex. The Kremlin made the announcement after a call between Mr. Putin and French President Emmanuel Macron. It came after the UN chief Antonio Guterres told the BBC that he is concerned about the situation at the plant. He said military activity around Zaporizhzhia must end and urged Moscow to grant access to inspectors. The site has been under Russian occupation since early March, but Ukrainian technicians still operate it under Russian direction. In a readout following the call between the French and Russian leaders, the Kremlin said Mr. Putin had agreed to provide UN investigators with the necessary assistance to access the site. The militant group Al-Shabaab says it has taken control of a hotel near the center of the Somali capital, Mogadishu. The police said attackers detonated 2 explosives outside the hotel before entering the building and opening fire. In a statement, the Islamic group claimed to be in control of the complex and said they are shooting everyone. The hut is said to be a popular location for employees of the federal government to meet. 9 people have been injured and carried away from the hotel. The head of Mogadishu's Army Ambulance Services, Abdikadir Abiraham, told Reuters news agency. Finland's Prime Minister said she has taken a drug test after new footage emerged showing the leader dancing with the Finnish pop star. Sanna Marin, 36, came under fire this week after a leaked video showed her partying with some politicians saying she should be tested for narcotics. At a news conference on Friday, Mrs. Marin said she had taken the test and expects the results next week. The Prime Minister repeated her denials that she has ever taken drugs. And back to the headlines of the world news. Russia to allow inspectors at Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. Al-Shabaab Islamist militants attack hotel in Somali capital. And the Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin reveals she has taken a drug test. With that, we conclude this bulletin of world news and on to development news. A senior officer of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation said that the government now only spent about $230 million a month to import fuel following rationing. Earlier, the CPC had spent about $500 million a month on fuel imports, he said, and that came to you in development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Manchester United have reached an agreement with Real Madrid to sign Brazil midfielder Casemiro in a deal worth up to £70 million. The 30-year-old has been with Real since 2013, winning 3 La Liga titles and 5 Champions Leagues. The fee is an initial £60 million plus £10 million in add-ons, and Casemiro will sign on a 4-year deal with the option of 1 more. United are bottom of the Premier League and host Liverpool at Old Trafford on Monday. Casemiro is said to become one of the United's top earners once he completes his move and will be United's 4th signing after midfielder Christian Eriksen, fullback Tyrell Malacia from Feyenoord and defender Lisandro Martinez. That's sports news. We look at business news next.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Shares in Cineworld have fallen more than 60% as concerns mount that the world's second largest cinema chain is about to file for bankruptcy. The company, which also owns a picture house chain in the UK, is struggling under $5 billion worth of debt. Like other cinema chains, Cineworld was hit hard by the pandemic. Cineworld recently said post-COVID customer levels were lower than expected and blamed limited film releases. That's business news, economic news up next.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSP You Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The US has announced that they will begin formal trade negotiations with Taiwan weeks after a controversial visit by US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The first round of talks are expected to begin in early fall, said the Office of US Trade Representatives. Their discussion will include talks on trade facilitation, digital trade and anti-corruption standards. Relations between the US and China have been increasingly tense following Mrs. Pelosi's visit. That's economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
On to the weather report. Several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabragamo and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Matara districts. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the Uva and eastern provinces during the evening or night. And now to conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. The US congressmen urge additional relief to Sri Lanka. Several student activists detained for 72 hours. The president asked Japan to open talks with main creditors. The fuel supply to 12 filling stations suspended for failure to follow the QR system. A Gazette notification issued declaring the maximum retail price for eggs. Russia to allow inspectors at Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. And Manchester United agrees £70 million Casemiro deal with Real Madrid. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast.